Got a 2010 Toyota Camry today. What's going on with this one? It's got some transmission codes, torque converter, lockup stuck off. I want to say I got my scan tool in there, charging up a little bit, and I want to try to see if I can retrieve those codes that are currently in there. I'm gonna do a line pressure test. Got my gauge hooked up here. I'm gonna show you where that's located, what's recommended, probably what I'm gonna do. Maybe just see if there's any difference here. I'm gonna try to follow directions. I will add though, my gauge is leaking. I just got my hands on something real quick, threw something together. Let me see if I can get it down there. There's the port. It's a 12mm bolt. Let me see if I can get this camera down there so you can see it. This is the little bolt you will remove to be able to access that port to test the oil pressure. It's got a little O-ring on there. So what's happening symptom-wise is that once the car gets above normal operating temperatures, I would say 180 degrees, then it started having problems. I only drove this car once because I got kind of stuck. I had to shut it down, let it cool, start it back up, and it worked fine. So I'm really leaning on contaminated fluid. Here's the fluid here. I took a sample of it. As I let it sit, the longer I let it sit, the more I'm able to get the shavings and stuff in there. But it doesn't look like it's in shavings, it just look contaminated. Like, because the car does, another thing, has 200,000 miles on it. So with the mileage being 200,000, fluid obviously problems never change. The symptoms, it has good engagement, like the shifts are confident. If the shift were delayed early on when the fluid's cool, then I'll be like, okay, there's a problem here. The transmission should just go ahead and be replaced. My thing is, it doesn't have issues early when it's cool, and it only happens when it gets warm. And if the fluid's contaminated like this, it's not going to have efficiency cooling. It's not going to have efficiency flowing. So that's why I'm going to do a basic test here. I took some notes, and if you can read it here. So this is the state, this is the PSI, this is idling. It should be around 62 PSI. This is in drive, the stall. When you do a stall test, what you do is recommended that you pull the module, pull that connector off down there. You see that gray connector? Let's see if it'll pick it up. That gray connector on that black box and that gray connector, you want to pull that. That is recommended. It's supposed to be able to produce 168 to 196 PSI. Drive idling supposed to be around 52 to 62 PSI. Reverse idling is supposed to be 116 to 138. And the reverse stall should be between 276 and 319 PSI. So we're just going to do those really quick, put the camera by the gauge, and just now put the position that I'm in. I do have, oh shoot, did my light die? I do have a slight leak. Don't laugh at me. Like I said, I just threw this together. So I just want to get the pressures tested real quick. But like I say, if it's normal at idle, I'm thinking like I'm just going to probably recommend changing the fluid. This is one of those better cases where the fluid change and filter should work. Worst case scenario, I mean, it washes out the clutches and we have some real issues and it just don't work. I'd imagine changing the fluid is a lot cheaper than changing the transmission, especially when we don't have like any electrical fault. I don't want to say that we don't or do, but this obviously seemed like just an obstruction problem and a lack of flow. So let's check that fluid pressure. I got a little bit of, yeah, I'll take some brake cleaning, clean all that. So I looked at the pressures and reviewed the footage, and everything was fine for the exception, obviously, of D. And the D was not that good. That does not sound right at all. D was like right around 160. So logically, by the definition of the symptoms of what it could be from the service information, the clutch packs for number one is probably shot, which makes sense because, I mean, look at our fluid. It was contaminated. I'm just very curious to see if changing the fluid is going to work or not. I'm not guaranteeing that it will, but my curiosity is like really trying to get the best of me. That doesn't even sound right. D, curiosity, none of this stuff comes to this. It's not making any sense. So what I'm gonna, the only thing I can do, run the options by the customer, see what they want to do. Really recommend try to change the transmission fluid and the filter. Get in there a little further, see what it looks like, and you know, go from there. But I really prefer the visual inspection, see how horrible it looks inside the pan. Is there a lot more clutch material in there, or whatever? I mean, but that fluid is pretty black to the point where, I mean, there's obviously got to be some clutch damages. But my thing is also, it drives fine up until it warms up. That's the only thing I'm like, well, it wouldn't hurt. And this it's just shy of where it's supposed to be recommended. All the other gears work fine. I mean, I put it on the highway, it was fine. It just, when it got warm, then it started having some problems. So I wonder if fresh fluid, a good filter, because if that's clutch material, which it likely is, if that's in there, it'll likely obstructed the transmission ability to filtrate, to flow. Would that help? And will it make an improvement in our numbers? So I'm gonna run that by them, see what they do. If not, and I'll conclude the video, but we'll see, explore our options. Okay, it's the next day. I got some good news / okay news. I don't know. I guess it's good news if you're like me and you want to look at a video with something that's unconventional. And we're going to do that. So obviously we're going to change this fluid. I'm going to talk for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go through do some cutaways, and then we're going to find if it's working out. So I will say, after me and the brother talked, it's a guy. I talked to the guy, the sister. You know, I understand most of my female clients, I normally talk to the guys if they're husbands or whatever. Understandable. Most of my clients are female. So me and the guy talked, and I gave him several options as far as putting a new transmission in there. So he wanted to take that route. He talked over with his sister, and they opt to do the fluid change, which I did say it was a less than 25% chance this is going to work. And I'm saying work because I'm even giving it that high because the transmission works. It shifts. It just goes into a neutral state. After about 5 miles, it was 69 degrees Celsius. When I looked up at the coolant temperature, and it was Celsius. I'm only saying that because I had my spare scan tool. The spare scan tool doesn't really do conversions that well, like the MK908, the other one, the bigger one that I got. I think it was MP or whatever. So we know that the pressures on the D side was just right there shy of 160. And hopefully we'll be able to see if this is going to make a change or not. I'm hoping logically it just makes sense that it could potentially be an obstruction because there is bad fluid in there. It's contaminated fluid, clutch materials in there. We're going to pull the pan down, look at the clutch material, see how bad the destruction is. Is it just like not worth it? But either way, I got a filter. I'm going to pop a filter in there. This is the 19 bolt pan. Let me show you the parts. So this is the part I got. Like I said, I have the 19 bolt pan. This is the part number. This is Power Torque product. O'Reilly's is my home store. This is where I frequently patronize, and they usually let me down. So this is the filter that it comes with. That's the filter I'll be installing. It comes with a new gasket, but I'm going to see what kind of gaskets on there because typically I will use them. Now, I am going to tell you this. I am using the global fluid. I am not using like a multi-import fluid. The global universal fluid should work fine. everybody got their personal perception about transmission fluid. These are just normal everyday driving conditions. Let me also add, I did look up to see if there's any service bulletins or any common problems with this transmission on Identifix. And when I get to the very end of what I think, I will look up some of the case studies on Identifix and see what other mechanics have done. Tips and tricks, maybe. It is a very useful site. Now, I will say, some of the guys put Judder Fix. I swear, that is just a subliminal advertisement for Shutterfix. I think it's called Shutterfix. I'm not a big proponent of that. If it's broke, it's broke. I mean, unless that little component in there goes into, it was like an ounce or something, coagulates the fluid or does something to enhance it or change the genetic makeup to where it's thicker, more abrasive. I don't know. I just don't believe in those type of things. If it's broke, it's broke. You can't heal an engine, just like the additives. In rare, extremely rare cases, I was able to put the Lucas product in the engine and get it to work. Okay, in rare circumstances, and that was the only time I ever had that work. Fuel injection cleaner, Lucas products typically don't work. Additives in a transmission typically don't work. They have to be specific to the problem that you're having. If you're having pressure problems, yeah, you might be able to get some benefit out of it. Like for this situation, because it's low on pressure with one clutch pack, there is some issues with that clutch pack because all of them work except for the drive. All right. Now it's a possibility if I put some thicker fluid in there, it may help, but it also may inhibit other functions. I'm not a big proponent of that. So that's why we're just going to do a regular generic fluid change in the filter kit, inspect the pan, see what happens. Because I'm curious. I'm gonna finish talking. Next clips y'all gonna see is just how the pan looked, what's inside the pan, and then we're just gonna check the fluid. Enough of me talking. Here's the close-up of the transmission here. You can see the clutch material got all on the solenoids. I mean, they're coated. They're coated pretty bad. So I'm gonna get all that cleaned up with some brake cleaner and really consider if it's worth me doing a complete drain and refill, like meaning that I can take the cooler line off, get some of the residual fluid that's in the torque converter out in the cooling line, like doing a complete flush. Because my thing is, based on the current state, I wouldn't be surprised just doing, putting the fresh fluid in there to be able to still dilute it and have a new filter on there. It'll reinstate the flow and wouldn't be restricted based off the clutch material that potentially obstructed in this case. So I'll consider that. We'll see what happens. Here's the pan. I say I'm going to reuse this gasket to spray with some copper spray. Clean it up. Here's what's inside of it. It is pretty bad. Here's the magnet. It's a lot of clutch material on here. It's not looking promising at all, man. Dang. Oh, man. What is... Oh, wow. Yeah. There's shards of metal in here, too. This isn't looking good at all. Wow. Yeah, we likely got some excessive clearance problems. Doesn't look good, people. Man, this magnet is small. Look at this one. Oh my goodness. It's straight up like metal in there. Well, yeah, this don't look good. This is definitely friction material and whatever else may be inside of there. Let me see if I can get some of this stuff cleaned up. What is this? One of you transmission guys will know a lot better than I do if this is some type of context clue. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do a half-ass flush on this one because this don't look good, not at all. Maybe I can take some of this metal, clean it off, filter it through a rag, and be able to see what it is. I do have some paint strainers or something like that you use to separate filter paint or whatever. I'm not a body guy. I have those funnels. So we're gonna do this number here. I'm gonna put this. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. I'm gonna shoot some brake cleaner in there. Maybe we can get a better look at what this metal is. It's getting a little clean. I can get it all on one magnet. It ain't looking good though. Looking for gold at this point. What is this? Feel like some type of needle bearing or something. These small little rollers, like a, what do they call them, sprags or something, like something with a clutch. Is that what it's called? I can't. I swear I can't. I'm not a. But these look like needle bearings. And I guess one of these small shavings, like the thin ones, is like spring or something. I swear I think I know I'm wrong, but something grenaded inside of there. I'm losing more confidence. I don't know if this is gonna work. Well, observation is a big part of diagnosing. So I mean, this don't look promising. Let me there's some more stuff in here. Let me see if I can save these, get this stuff back in there. Let me show you the fluid too. Here's our fluid. Still just as black as it want to be. Here's the clutch. I said clutch. Here's the filter element. And you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to cut this open when we get done with it to see what it looks like inside of there. I'm gonna let this drain all out. I might be able to pick up some more material. Oh, it's definitely it's definitely metal in there. Ooh, man. Alright. I don't know why I'm patting this and cleaning it up like it's gonna do anything, but I'm gonna be shocked. The more I start looking into this, the worse, I guess, the least confident I got. I don't think this is gonna work, but I gave the person options and told them my percentage is less than 25%. Doesn't have to be. It's between 0 and 25%. Where's my filter? Out of there. I'm gonna show you. Look how clean that is. I use copper spray. I don't even know. It's like a gasket spray. It's not a copper spray. I don't even know. Here's our fill, my leveler, the level determiner thingy. This is a hex, 6mm. Put that in there. Should be able to get in there by hand. There we go. Just trying to do this faster. I didn't have that much leverage. All the way up in there. Hand tight, it should top out. Just back off a little bit. And what I'm gonna do, go up on the side up here, support, fill it up. You can put what was coming out of it. I'm just gonna get it up to normal temperatures and see what happens. I had two 10mm here, pull that down. 24mm socket. This ain't even this is a 12 point. Hopefully it's not on tight. Take my handy dandy impact. Zap, zap. Pull that off. You got a couple options. You can gravity feed it, but this, I'm going to use my pump. I have a pump that I got off of Amazonian. This is the little pump I'm referring to. If I got to do like Mercedes or something like that, I'll use this to extract the fluid so I ain't got to go into the bottom and take a lot of stuff off. It serves its purpose. Now I'm gonna tell you this, I have two, I broke one, and do not put brake cleaner in here to clean it. That was just dumb on my behalf. I shouldn't have done that, but I got another one and it works just fine. I can't really find too much of these on there. You will find them. They're there on Amazon. Just look for like oil extractor or something like that. It's there. Anyway, I digress. I got that in there. I'm gonna put this other line. Oh, always use clamps. I got doused a few times because I didn't put them on there thinking, oh, it's just pulling, it's just suction, it's not going to do anything. No, the lines will come out and you will get blasted with fluid and it's going to be a mess. So I'm going to fill this up. See if I can. I'm going to hold it. Oh shit, oh shit. See, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I'm made a freaking mess. Oh my gosh. Ugh. See, screw y'all. Like, seriously, I go to make content and I just made a freaking mess, man. Ooh. Well, I thought I could get through this transmission fluid change clean, and that was like spotless too, man. That's what oil dries for. Shit. Like if you get in there just right, it'll take the fluid. Oh, all right, it's coming out the bottom now. All right, this is the test we all been waiting for, because it either ain't gonna work or it ain't gonna work. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back in the car, do the same test. The only variance is I didn't drive this car around the corner and get shut down on, and it stalled on me. So, not stalled, it went into a neutral state on me, so that's the only difference. I'm gonna let it run for a little while, get the temperatures up, and try to replicate that same test. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's higher because the fluid is potentially cooler. But if it is cooler, I'm gonna actually drive it and see what happens, because I gotta drive it anyway to make sure it's safe for the customer if it works. So let's get started. Again, I'm gonna put it in park for 5 seconds, which is the natural state, and then I'm gonna put it in reverse, idle, stall it, basically power brake it, and go on neutral, and then drive. Well, to my dismay, pressure is still low. So I guess two things. We now know that changing the fluid likely won't change that pressure. Now, I guess it's the point in time when people are probably like, you know, we could put Lucas in there and see if it works, but there's internal damage. There was metal when we pulled it out. There's nothing that's going to reputable. I think I said that word right. Irreputable. Wait a minute. Man, my phone is like not working. My internet's not working. You would think I got like 2G and it's 1999 or something. Basically, this transmission is probably irreparable. Irreputable. Anyway. With fluid, with adding any type of mechanic in the pan, as some people like to refer to. I pulled the gauge out. The only way to test this thing is if I get stuck. I'm gonna take it on that same 5-mile drive and see if it like goes into a neutral state. I'm curious. I'm gonna film it. When I get stuck on the side of the road and I have to shut it down and restart it, my biggest thing is, did this wash out the clutches? Which I doubt, because this doesn't have a soft engagement like the 4L60Es or anything. It has more of like a firm engagement. So that's why you can get away with changing the fluids in Acuras, Hondas, and Toyotas with high mileage. Again, this has over 200,000 miles. Let me drive and hopefully I don't be calling a tow truck. Never had to yet after 10 years, but if I shut it down, let it cool down, start it back up, it works. So let's see what happens. All right, I got 18 miles on here, and I want to show you that there's no more codes present. There hasn't been any codes since I started driving. And the biggest thing is, let me show you how it engages into drive now. So you see how it instantly engages in reverse. Put it in neutral. I'm gonna go back in reverse. It's instant. Let me show you what drive do. And it's almost instant. Go in reverse. Drive. It's like it's crazy. It's a big difference now. That 2-second delay that we had a while ago seemed to be non-existent currently. Put it back in neutral. So it's down to more like half a second, but it feels compatible with reverse. There's reverse. Reverse is, I would say, is pretty instant. Drive is, I would say, normal. That's a big difference. What I'm gonna do, I feel comfortable enough to put it on the highway, and what I'm gonna do is just get 50 miles driven and back test the pressure, so we'll know for certain if it legitimately made a change in pressure differences in comparison to what it was before. Broken, change, but not warmed up. But now that the vehicle's warmed up with no issues, no codes, got 18 miles under its belt, no issues, hasn't made a difference. But like I said, I'm gonna get 50 miles on here, and then I'll give you some more feedback. Then we'll test that pressure one more time. I might even just wind up going to do one more basic drain and refill just for the customer. And my peace of mind, maybe, and then just ship it off. But my thing is, if I change the fluid again, could I potentially wash the clutches out? Which I doubt. I don't think that's going to happen. More than likely, I don't think it's going to happen. But I would feel better overall diluting that fluid even more, just in case any more clutch particulates need to latch onto something and potentially stop up that fluid filter again. So I think that'll be the best course of action. Let me get 50 miles on here and I'll be back with an update. All right. I just got back. I got 37.7 miles on here. I wound up driving approximately 20 miles on the highway. It drove perfectly fine. Torque converter locked up. I'm in the transmission control module. Going to recheck for codes. No codes present. So I'm going to show you how it engages in drive. Put it in reverse. That was pretty snappy like normal. Put it in neutral. It literally engages in drive in like, I would say a little bit less than half a second. Neutral. that was completely normal. So I think what better time than right now to go ahead and check the fluid pressures one more time. I'm going to do one more drain and refill after we check the pressure and drive it, call it a day. Let me show you this noise. So this rattling noise here, I really think it's timing chain related. It's not the transmission I thought it was. It's definitely the timing cover there. So I know I said something about potentially being a transmission. That noise is over on the engine side. So I'm gonna let it cool for just a minute because I want to got some food. I'm gonna sit there and eat that. Again, everything works fine. It has good engagement. I put it on the highway. I felt comfortable enough to be able to do that. No issues. So pull the fluid, compare it with the old, check the pressure. Well, I'm gonna check the pressure now, then I'll do the fluid. Then I'm just gonna conclude it. If anything definitely happens though, you know I'm good for updating in the description. So let's do this right now. Check the pressures, the final pressures, being that it works normal as it is, and go from there. Now don't get me wrong, this is still broken and it needs to be replaced. The customer was on the same page that this is just going to be a patch job. I just don't have any better word. There's no repairing damage in the transmission, especially when there's metal in there. Best case scenario, whatever broke was definitely something that doesn't have any importance. It's not integral, and it should also be taken into consideration the transmission is best to be replaced because of these circumstances. It shouldn't see like little metal bearing looking material in there. That is not normal. But again, this is a Toyota. So let's check these pressures. So this is what we're going to do. This is the last test here, fluid test, metering the pressure. I'm going to go to park and go straight to drive because we already got good base pressures. I just want to measure that again and see if it's over 60, and then go straight to drive and just do that test off the bat and see if our stall test for drive goes over 160 psi. Hopefully, maybe they'll achieve 180. And don't get me wrong, I cannot stress to you, this transmission is still broke. All right, but for what we currently got going on, it's moving and it works. It shifts great. In some instances, it seems like it's getting better with engagement in the drive. So let's go ahead and get this out the way. And I'm gonna change the fluid one more time. Alright, we're gonna cut this filter right open, and I'm gonna leave because I've been working on this car all day, I feel like, especially trying to do this video. And just to remind you, this is a factory filter. It has Denso written on there. Some metal. I know you transmission guys know what this is. I want to show you the fluid also that I pulled out. I mean, it was still pretty dark. Put a hammer to it. I put in some plastic so I wouldn't get any
junk from the floor inside of there or any crap off the hammer inside of here. Still can't get it. Hold on. We're gonna try this again. So this is the part here that goes from the pickup. And this sits at the base of the pan. Let's pull that out. Here's our metal. It's a lot of metal in here. I was wondering if I could see any type of larger chunks in it, but it's not the case. Let's see the fluid. Here's the old fluid. It's still pretty dark. I don't know if all the detail will show up on here or not. There's some bubbles in there, but that's probably because there's water in here and the water and oil don't mix. There's not a lot of, I don't see any flakes or anything in here. So I got the fluid change again. I'm gonna drive it, and so I'll see you tomorrow. So we're on day 3. I have 95.4 miles on here. Almost made it to 100. So rode around to my girlfriend's house and then to the gym this morning. I'm in the generic portion now. I just want to show you that everything is complete and ready for inspection, and just to prove that I actually drove the vehicle. So I can't make this stuff up. It'll focus. So we have monitors incomplete at the bottom. That's if you was to go and try to get your vehicle inspected and you are missing like 4. So when people clear their check engine lights and they have 4 incomplete monitors and it's like it's not ready, that's why. Because the monitors are incomplete, have not reached 0. Or the amount depending on the year and the state, blah blah blah, to allow you to go through inspection. I can check the codes in the generic portion, but it's not going to say anything typically related to the transmission. So let me go to this. This will be the Camry, and then we'll see if there's any codes in the oh shoot, that's the generic part. We'll go right in there, go right into the transmission, electronically controlled transmission. That's what ECT stands for in Toyota. It's not engine coolant temperature. So I'm going to show you that there's no codes present here, which there aren't. So I showed that I drove 95 miles. I went to the generic portion, showed that all the incomplete monitors are ready, and this vehicle is ready for inspection. That justifies the mileage driven. And I went into the transmission control module, showed that there's no codes present. So I did inform the customer. I'm gonna give him another phone call today, let him know about what my thoughts are, and I did give him a quote on replacing that timing chain and components, and I'm still not understanding why this motor has to come out. It's 17 hours to do the timing chain on here. It literally like you got adequate space to do the timing chain. Why does the engine why does it say the engine has to come out? I think they don't. I don't know. I don't know. If I ever had to do one of these, I don't know. I'm gonna try obviously with the engine in there, but I don't understand. I digress. I'm gonna let them know what my thoughts are about the transmission. Definitely, we did have some metal components, some foreign metal in there that isn't related to clutch packs. Maybe I don't know how the clutch packs on this is designed. Maybe that thin ring, maybe that was related to the clutch pack, and a part of it just became broken, worn. I don't know. Won't know anything until it's torn down, if we ever have to replace it. But I feel good about this transmission lasting a while, and hopefully if somebody else have this issue, they can give this a try and see what happens.
But I want to specify that this car has unique symptoms in comparison to just having transmission problems. Now, this could have been worse. Whatever broke could have been broken up more, and it could have displayed total different symptoms and a higher lack of pressure. I can say better lack of pressure. But we got the best of a bad result with the pressures being that they were. Like I say, I'm going to let him know, and we're going to go from there. If we have to replace the transmission in the future, I'm definitely going to update in the description. So just be sure to hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, have the reassurance of my work, and I'll see you on the next one.